Thank you once again and welcome to today's session on enhancing your Caseware experience. So just to go through or go over a few of what we will be covering today. So the first thing that we'll be doing is to go through the benefits or the reasons why you need to keep up to date with releases. And then we'll touch a little bit on the GRAP roadmap, what we have in store in terms of releases coming up later on in the year, as well as next year. Following which, we will cover the release that we did recently. That's the GRAP 2024-1003. We'll do the overview as well as get into the details in terms of what exactly changed, how it changed, and what the impact will be. We'll allow for some Q&A at the end of the session, and we hope to finish by 11:30. So my name is Michael. I am the product manager here at Caseware. And joining me today is Stefan. You are familiar with Stefan. He will be taking us through the details of the release, GRAP 2024-1003. It's quite an exciting event or session that we are having today. We will be covering two things. The first one, as I indicated, is the overview of the release that we did recently in March. The second one, which is quite exciting for us, it is a sneak peek of the new enhancement that we are working on, and that's the GRAP checklist. So what we have been busy with is enhancing the way that you do the GRAP checklist as far as the requirements by National Treasury. So we are busy automating the GRAP checklist for you. I know it is exciting, and I know you will be looking forward to seeing that. The release of that will be coming up later on in the year, which will be the first version, but we will be sharing with you and showing you what the detail or how it will be working later on in the session. So the first part that I want to cover with you or to share with you is the reasons why you need to keep up to date with releases. So if you fall behind, you risk your data retention, or the risk of your data retention increases drastically. You need to be ready for the next major GRAP 104 update. And being on the latest version will give you a better update experience to this massive update that will be coming up. So you need to keep you in practice using Caseware and its options, or its updates rather. So it is very important that you keep up to date with the updates. And whenever we send out an email to say there is a new version of the GRAP template, please do follow the instructions that will be contained in the email and update accordingly. And all our updates are always, there's a record of all the updates that we keep on Caseware community, which will show you later how to get to that. Now, touching a bit on the recent updates that we've done as far as the GRAP template is concerned. So in July 2024, we released GRAP 2024-1001. So again, that the number GRAP 2024-1001 that you see, this particular number, this is just a versioning that we use for the software, which allows us to keep track of what versions that our clients have, as well as the successive versions that we will be working on. So the first number that you see, 2024, actually talks to the version of Caseware Working Papers. And then the number 10 talks to the product, which is GRAP in this instance. And the version or the update thereof will be that number at the end. As you will see that today we will be covering the contents of O3, which is the third version thereof. Right. So in July 2024, that version that we released contained enhancements to the VAT disclosure. We also included some speed improvements in order to make the product more faster, as well as a new super insert option that we included. Then late last year, in November 2024, we released GRAP 2024-1002. That was mainly the 2024 iXBRL taxonomy update. And today, what we will be covering is the release that we did in March 2025, and that's GRAP 2024-1003. So three main things that happened with that release. The first one is the new standards and interpretation update. The second one is the VAT disclosure improvements. And then lastly, updates to mSCOA version 6.9. Right. And just to emphasize, these three updates were based on Caseware Working Papers 2024, which is the platform that we will all work in. So in order to have these updates, you need to be on Caseware Working Papers 2024. Now, taking a step further, looking at the roadmap or what's coming. So in October 2025, which is later on this year, we will be releasing GRAP 2025-1001. And that will cover two main things. The first one, it will be the iXBRL 2025 update. And then secondly, which is quite exciting, like I indicated, is the GRAP disclosure checklist, the first version thereof. So you will have access to that in October 2025. Then next, which will be in March 2026, we will be releasing GRAP 2025-1002, which will cover mainly GRAP 104. And the question remains, are you ready for that update? And coupled with that will be the GRAP disclosure checklist, which will be the second version thereof. And these two updates, the October 2025 and the March 2026, will be based on Caseware Working Papers 2025. And then just giving you a sneak peek into 2026, we will be releasing in October 2026, and that will be the GRAP 2026-1001, which will mainly be the iXBRL 2026 update, as well as the enhanced version of the GRAP disclosure checklist. And that will be based on Caseware Working Papers 2026. So again, do not get left behind. Follow through all the updates and make sure that you always working on the latest update as far as the software is concerned. Now, to take us through the details, particularly of GRAP 2024-1003, the release that we did in March, will be Stefan. And Stefan, over to you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for that overview. Yeah, very exciting times lying ahead. Thank you for sharing that and leading us in those exciting times. We really appreciate that. Let me start. I'm just going to share my screen on this side. And there we go. Okay. So what you have received, we just have some feedback here. Just want to sort that out. So what we want to share is the release information. What would have happened is that you should have received an email communication that will have notified you that there's a new version of the GRAP available. This is the version that you need to use for your financial year end, March 2025. And this is the GRAP 2024-1003 version. So the email will direct you to our website, success.casewareafrica.com, and on that website, we document for you the details of what is in this release, and then is also the website where you are able to access the release by, if you have the relevant rights. And you've paid up your license, you will able to log into the website, and after you've logged in, you will able to download the latest release, and that download will go to your downloads folder. You can double click then on your downloads folder, and that will install the latest version of the software on your workstation. Remember that you will be selecting on the installation both the Caseware Working Papers 2024, the GRAP release connector. Those are the three important softwares that you must select to install. You could sometimes see the requirement to install a data store, which is a free version of software we give you if you use the data store integration. If you don't use the data store integration, you don't need to install that software. If you use the data store integration, then just install that software as well. Okay, so I think now you have got the email. You were directed to the Caseware Success community. You see what is in this release, and then also you understand that you need to download this release, install it on your workstation, and now we're ready to go. From what is in this release, as Michael indicated, from a high level, overall, this financial year, there's not a lot of compliance changes happening, and we are just making improvements. The big compliance change that is happening for GRAP 104, that's why we're asking, are you ready for it? And even in the ASB are focusing on you making sure that your opening balances, you've got working on those for the new calculation of your ECL and of your impairment, using ECL calculation, the impairment. So there's a lot of work for everybody for next year, but for this year, it's not big compliance changes. Of the compliance changes that we have introduced, which is required, is just an update to the new transportations note, improvements to the references to GRAP 104, 106, and 107, also improvements to GRAP 103. We also removed any standards that is historic and has already been implemented in public sector, because you're required by law to prepare your financial statements by the year end. It's not really often that entities need to produce historical information. They're normally up to date. So we don't keep too much of historical information in the new transportations note. We also updated a bit more on our biggest support call, and I will show you that, is support calls about this note not working, and it's not about the software not working, is that in the information store, in order for that note to work optimally, the audit report date needs to have been completed in the information store. And what we've done based on client feedback is that we've just given more guidance for the users to remind them to complete the audit report date in the information store, and that then helps for this note to work accurately. We also improved the way that we deal with standards not yet effective, where the minister has not determined an effective date as well. So the effective date is not set. And in Caseware, we used for the calculation a date in the future, 1st of April 2099. However, that caused some issues with clients. So we created a workaround for you to not to use that date and just to type in that the date still needs to be determined. But I will show you that later. We updated VAT disclosure options based on the fact sheet from the ASB. We've made more changes, now providing you a separate mapping range for you to map VAT receivable, VAT payable separately, or if you want to show it separately on the statement of financial position. However, there is a big requirement that users rather show the VAT receivable, VAT payable as part of the receivable from exchange or payables from exchange transactions note. And we will just show you how to do that. For that change on the VAT payables and VAT receivables, we need to update the cash flow from operations note as well as the cash flow worksheet. For our municipal clients, this what's new is for everybody, for our PFMA and our FMA market. Although the PFMA clients, they are in the hot seat currently with the submission happening by the end of May. Our colleagues in municipalities only need to do their financial statements by the end of August. But for them, we've already included the updated version for the auto map of version 6.9 for mSCOA. Then a big thing that is also happening and more in public sector is iXBRL requirements. And this is really only applicable for those entities which are also a company. The forming legislation is the Companies Act. Therefore, there's reporting that needs to happen to the CIPC, and that reporting needs to be in iXBRL format. And our GRAP product here at Caseware Africa is one of the few, I want to say the only, I can't say that, but some of the very few products in South Africa that provides for GRAP iXBRL compliance. And we believe that there is this compliance requirement could possibly be rolled out not just to companies but to other government entities as well. So we are ready for that. But for that compliance, we needed to add another patch from SIPC also into this release. We added a new super insert option to insert a text table, which I will show you, and we've improved the it's a very nice feature where users wants to just see it without go to print preview or printing what is the content that will be included in the final print. So therefore you have your review enable mode, the editing enable mode. So and we just improved that mode to be more accurate. Then with this release, then there's some Caseware Working Papers 2024 enhancements. Not if you're not using some of these features are more for our general Caseware users, so it could not be applicable to you. I think the protection setup is a useful requirement when you need to unlock and lock your files, which is a new option that is available for the rights in that specific group. that you assign those rights to and the protection setup. I would be also reminding you that there is enhancements Caseware is doing generally around licensing. You would also have noticed that during your download of the software from Caseware community, we've added more and more protection regarding licensing, and then also give you prior notice on when your license period is expiring. So please be look out for these reminders. Then I'm just going to go through. I just want to highlight back to the presentation that Michael did. Is in this context is what's important is we have realized that a lot of clients would not have updated. Most of the clients is still on GRAP version 2023-10.01, so it's a version before the July 2024 version. But don't be concerned that you need to update to that version to 2024-10.01 and then need to do another update to 2024-10.02 and then to do another update for 2024-10.03. Caseware doesn't work like that. If you are on GRAP 2023-10.01 and you install this latest version of the GRAP template 2024-10.03 and you run an update, then all three of these updated content changes will automatically apply to your file. So all of these updates, if you are still on GRAP 2023-10.01 and you install the latest GRAP 2024-10.03, all of these updates will automatically also apply to your file. So all of the previous updates are included in the update. However, like Michael have indicated in the update process, Caseware really only support two updates back. So if you were on GRAP 2024 or GRAP 2022-10.01, the update will work, but the accuracy and the completeness of the update do decrease over time because of all the content changes that's happened. Is that we really test and make sure that we are updating. Our update works perfectly for 2 releases back, but if you go to 3 releases, 4 releases back, then there is a risk on the update process for you. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that we're on the same page there. So after you've downloaded the software, you should be on, and you launch Caseware, you can actually see in the logo. I am on Caseware Working Papers 2024, 164 version. If I go to my templates, you would see that I have installed GRAP 2024-03. And so that's also the latest version that you need to have installed on your workstation. Please check that. You know, that's the purpose of the session, is that if you've not done that, you can now launch Caseware, go to, just open up your Caseware file, go to help, check that you're on that version, open up Caseware, go to templates and check that you're on that version. And if you're not on that version 2024-03 DT, then I would recommend you go back to your Caseware Success community, log into your Caseware Success community, download the latest software, and install it on your workstation. And then you have done the first step in the process. Remember that during the download and install process, Caseware do require you to have local administrative rights. So, and some of our users don't have just rights to install software on their workstation. So you could be required just to log a call with your IT to help them to install the latest version of Caseware on your workstation. Okay. Now you have done step 1, which is installing the software. Now you will go to step 2. Step 2 is, I just want to go to my demo file. Step 2 is now you will open up your existing file. If you are currently on Caseware Working Papers 2023, or your file was last created on Caseware Working Papers 2023, then when you open up your file, you will get this message. Don't be concerned about this message. This is a conversion message. This is not a content update message yet. This is just converting the file from Caseware Working Papers 2023. You can see there, it says there in the message, it will convert it to Caseware Working Papers 2024. If you are concerned, you can always make a backup, but let's just open up that file. Oh, I can't open up that file now. Let me open up another file. Sorry about that. Let's see if this one will work. Yeah, this one will work. And I'm now opening up a file that was created on a previous version of Caseware Working Papers. I'm logging into the file, and this would also mean that this file is on an older version of Caseware Working Papers. So I'm just going to cancel, and let's just go out here, and you can see that this file, the version here, is on Caseware Working Papers 2023-1001. Don't worry about this, just refresh. Don't worry about that MFMA. This is just if you select in the info store, municipality or public entity, then that wording just automatically changed. So, but it's still the GRAP template that you need to be on. So if you can see that this file is on this version. Now, I now need to do the content update. So installing Caseware and converting is not a content update. That's just the software update, the application update. But now, after you've installed the latest software and you open up your Caseware file, you will be then required, or you have then an option to run the content update on your file. You would see that it's really based on your decision, and we don't force the content update. It's up to you to do the content update. In that content update, you have two options. You can do a full replace of your GRAP financial statements, but you can see there, if you read the options there, is that it will replace your current financial statements, and any previous customizations would not be retained. We always recommend, and this normally is something we would force when there is a major update to your file. So it could be the scenario that we need to do for next year for all the GRAP 104 changes. It's a massive change in the financial statements on a presentation and disclosure point of view. However, for this update, we would recommend the second option, and where it will replace only the content which has changed in my current financial statements. And then I can select. So this will just add the new content, and all the previous customizations would not be affected. In order for you to continue with the update, you need to confirm that you have you've made a backup. And if you've not made a backup, just please make a backup at this point. There's a shortcut key for you to make a backup. Make a backup, and then you can run the update. We also just want to take a side note here, is that if you are concerned about the update, what we would recommend is for you to make a backup, run this update on your backup file just to test the update. You are allowed to test the update, so the update is not limited like update once. The update is an update that applies to a version of your Caseware file. But if you have a backup is a copy in essence of the Caseware file. You can run this update on that backup, check out how the update is doing for you. Are you happy with it? Or is there complications? And then if you're happy with it, you can throw away the backup. Just make sure that you have another backup of that file, and then you can run the update on your live file. That's a very good process that you can implement to test the update before on a backup of a file that you know, a copy or even of the backup of a file that you know, that you can throw away after the update to say, listen, I'm happy with the file and now I'm happy with the update and now I can run this update on my live file. Okay, so then you click on the update button and it will then add the content update to this file. I'm not going to, I've already updated the file. I'm just going to close down this file, and this is the file that I've updated. I want to show you that, sorry, I just want to refresh. Okay, this is GRAP 2024-08-01. I'm not sure why the 08 is that. That's just something wrong on my screen, but it's the update is GRAP 2024-10-01. Okay. So now I've applied the update. Now you can open up your financial statements, and this is now, you can see there is the right version, 2024-10-03, and then you know that you on the right version. Okay. As you mentioned, and as you would know, and I think from a Caseware point of view, we always feel uneasy if there's not a lot of content. We feel that we're doing our work if there's a lot of content. But for a preparer, I think it's actually nice to not to deal with the risks that comes along with maintaining additional content. And so in this context, there isn't a lot of changes. I think the first one I want to show you is the news transportations note. Again, just to go circle back to Michael's first comments on the why to update, is that even though there's not a lot of content, please do the content update. The content is really, the update is low risk because there isn't a lot of content. So there is a correlation between the amount of content and the risk of the update. So if there's not a lot of content, the update risk is also very low. So keep up with the update, your update versions, because for next year on the GRAP 104, there is a lot of content update. And if you have not kept up with this version, as I mentioned, then your risk in the content just in the update just then increase for next year. So that's why we urge you to really to update this year as well. Okay, so on the news transportations note, let me just increase my screen so that it's just easier to read. So what I do is I control F5 to, or I just not control F5, I just do F5 to my go-to menu. I search for news, I just type in and it picks up the news transportations, and I can see the news transportations. Or you can use the document map under the normal Caseware window. You can go to view. I'm just going to freeze that window. I can go to view. I can go to view document map. It lists all the content available for you on the left-hand side. You can collapse all the areas. You can see that under the note sections, the second note is the news transportations note, and you will get to that as well. You would see that we gave a bit more information on how to manage this news transportations note between the different entities, the FET colleges, and then also the municipalities and public entities. But more importantly is that we also give you a link to the information store, and this cell here is important for you to complete. If you don't complete this cell here in the info store, then the news transportations note does not, it will sort of here on the control table, there would not be any tick marks because the calculation doesn't know where the date is from which all the calculations need to work from. The reason why the audit report date, if you think about your events after reporting date, and to report about on new standard expectations falls into that category, and all that you need to consider for this financial statements is all the events up till your audit report date. So that's why and we use the audit report date to calculate which of the new standard interpretations needs to be included or excluded in your note. So and if you don't complete that date, then the calculation cannot work. Okay, so that's where this guidance comes in. Secondly, we, because it's we work on automation, you need to have some logic, and we use a date 2099-04-01 for those standards where the minister has not yet issued an effective date for us just to do our calculations. But what we have implemented is under the section that talks to the new standard expectations issues not effective date, is that we give you two options, a detailed option, which is the recommended option. And I must say that in that context, the wording is not an issue, because it's a wording of the effective date. But a lot of users uses the shortened version, and then they saw this date of 1 April 2099, and that is a problem. But you would see that we've made it the input cell so that you can just override after the calculation has been done to be determined. And just for your printing purposes, that you don't refer to a date which is actually not mentioned in the standard. Caseware mentions 1st of April 2099 because we use calculations for automation. However, for your printing, you actually just want to override that date with a more appropriate description because of the minister not determining the effective date yet. Okay, so that was a good request from our clients. Okay. So that is the first requirement. The second requirement that we have done is you would actually, this starts on the account assign mapping. Okay, there my version number has changed. I don't know where that 08 comes from, but that was just maybe a refresh on this layout screen. But on the VAT is that we've seen it fit to give VAT its own mapping range for the VAT receivable as well as the VAT payable. So you see that we've introduced a mapping range 201, and then you can map accordingly to the VAT receivable or the VAT payable. You also see that we've extended, and this is really for our municipal clients, the difference to align to the requirements of the GRAP, of the ASB fact sheet, which really clarified that the amount that you either need to pay to SARS or needs to receive from SARS based on a cash basis is a statutory receivable, and therefore is not part of your normal trade receivables. And then the portion that is based on your accrual accounting on the billing is based on your, it's not a statutory receivable, it's more a receivable from exchange transactions. And similarly, on the payable side, the payable from exchange transactions and needs to be shown separate from the portion which is a statutory receivable, statutory payable, because of the compliance requirements to pay the VAT over to SARS. So we split those two mapping numbers there for you to separately map accounts to those different areas. Really something, again, for municipalities, because the municipalities on a cash basis for VAT, and that created this timing difference between the cash basis and the accrual accounting, and it does require you to show those balances separately. So if there's separate mapping numbers, then it means that there is also there was always this line item, but this line item is now reading from that new mapping range. And under the VAT receivable, we also have an option to offset the payable to the receivable, or to keep it separate, the payable and receivable. And it says, you can see that this is really on the offset is recommended for the municipalities in an mSCOA environment, because mSCOA uses a lot of control accounts in the VAT calculation, and those control accounts need to be accumulated for reporting purposes, and therefore it's an offset. And so it's more an offset of the control accounts than the offset of the obligation or the receivable. Okay, that's why it's more for the municipalities. Good. So that is requirement 2. In this option, for the iXBRL clients, I'm not going to go through that, but this version, GRAP 20, let me just switch off the document map. This version of GRAP 2024-1003 includes the latest 2025, 2024 iXBRL taxonomy from the CIPC, which is required under that button there. So let me just circle back to our release notes, just to make sure we cover everything. We've covered the new interpretations, we've covered the VAT disclosure, we've covered the iXBRL. Oh yeah, I just need to show on the for our municipal clients, if they still use the GRAP template and it has not moved over to the mSCOA template, and we do provide the automap function, the GRAP template for your mSCOA trial balance. And we've updated that automap logic with version 6.9 of mSCOA, and that you can see 6.9 is available, and you can automap based on that version. Okay, so again, actually a big change. There's a lot of new SCOA accounts that came in because of mSCOA, but we just take care of you for you on the GRAP template using the auto assign document. Okay. Then from a feature point of view I want to show users this feature, and this is the new table type that we created. Sometimes users want to disclose information in a tabular format without any values. And historically, if you have inserted a table using a super insert in Caseware Working Papers, you could not, the row will not print unless there is a value. So with this new alphanumeric table, I'm just going to insert this new alphanumeric table. I will just show you, I will just backtrack after I've inserted just how it looks, or the path you need to go through. Then you will be able to see it. Okay, so so you can see here on this note, I've inserted this table. This table, you can see there, it's got some control cells to say which of the columns I want to include. I can write text here, and because I've selected that control cell, the moment I add text into that cell, you can see it turns to black. And now I can also define the other columns like this. So this just gives you that flexibility now to present content within a tabular format within the financial statements without any values. And if you want to insert rows, you can insert a row by just right-click insert row, or you can go to insert table rows. you say it's input row. Below, I want to add another 10 rows and insert it like this. I hope you can see the insert time has drastically improved. That was due to some speed improvements. We've also made, you would remember, I think in this roadmap, we on the GRAP version 2024-10.01, we've made speed improvements. Those speed improvements you can already see here in the insert option is much better. And this is the way that you can now provide a tabular context. Also, sometimes you want to just have like 3 columns, but you want to type in a few, a paragraph or such, and this width is not going to work for you. Remember, if you in the column right click and set column width, you can actually now change the column width of this table as well, of that column as well, in order for you to give you more flexibility on the content that you want to do. Moment. Sorry, column, set column width, and I can change the column width for that column as well, which then really gives it nice flexibility for you to have a longer text. Let's just add some text here. I'm just going to add something like this, just to illustrate the point that you can now add a longer paragraph, and you can also then resize the column width for this text paragraph without the requirement to have a balance for this row to print. I think this is some of our clients really requested this, and everything in the yellow is editable and you can override. So you have a bit more flexibility to really to present in a table format text information anywhere in your financial statements by using, just circle back. How did I get to this? I went to the super insert function. I went to insert a table. Remember, in using the super in function, a very important rule is the position of your cursor. So I would always recommend get the position of your cursor at a point where you want, in a vicinity where you want to do the table. Then you will go to table. Then you can say, listen, I want to add a table above the position of my cursor or below the position of my cursor. Then it will call up all the different table options. And you would see this new table option is the second table option, which says it's alphanumeric columns. Okay, which I think it's a really nice improvement. Okay, cool. Just cancel out of this. The review enable and editing enable. Okay, so what this feature is about, it is it's a known feature, but there was instances that this feature wasn't very accurate. So what users would normally do is that they will draft using GRAP, and then they will go and want to, without going to a print preview, and just within this file, go and want to see how will the printed set looks like within the software. So therefore I have an option to go to review enabled, and then it will exclude all the areas in the file that you're not going to use. And the problem that we had here is that in some instances, content, the areas that you were actually using were hidden. It was available in editing enable mode, but if you went to review enable mode, then they were hidden for the reviewer, and that caused some issues. But we went through a detailed test to make sure that that if you go to review enable, that all the content that you switched on to be included in the final print is also showing in this view. Okay, so from a, I just want to check that one, review enabled. Just want to quickly just go circle around to the previous releases. There is some, for our iXBRL clients, we would recommend you to go in a bit more detail on the previous release notes. In short, whilst I'm seeing that, in short, just be cognizant that there is a new requirements on the mandatory information page. Okay, you can see here the mandatory information page is not showing because I'm in the review enable mode. So in the mandatory information page, there are new requirements specifically regarding the information you need to complete for the group and company, which the CIPC have, if you are part of a group of companies or not. I just want to get that now. Where is that? This one here. That's not that one. So apologies for that. This one, the holding company, but you need to complete information around that. So if you are an iXBRL user in GRAP, and even in any of the other templates, IFRS or SME, the rule of thumb is you need to complete your information store as complete as possible, all the yellow cells, even though some of this information in the yellow cells are not included in your financial statements. Some of those information are required by the CIPC in this mandatory information page, and you need to complete all of it in order for you to have your test year to make sure that all the fields have been completed. And some of those information comes from, most of this information comes from the information store. Okay. I am just going through the release notes. A catch up on the release note is also, the options on the VAT. Just to circle back on the VAT is, so let's say you have a requirement to rather show the VAT not separately on the statement of financial position, but included in the receivable from exchange transactions. What we would recommend there you do is that you remap. So let's just quickly do it. So you need to remap it from showing separately on the statement of financial position. And this is now the trick. We at Caseware provided for a range of additional types of receivables. We didn't see fit to add another mapping range in here specifically for VAT, because there is so many additional fields that you can use. So we would just recommend using any of the others. Apply, and what you can do then is apply. That will then move it from showing separately to be part of the note, and here using the right-click properties, change the relevant description, VAT statutory and then also moment. And then we have group. So you can see that we've got a big range, and there's not a lot of these rows that are used. All of the rows are not used, so therefore we just give you this option to remap and use any one of these others for your VAT disclosure. Okay. Let me have a look there that we discussed. Cool. So that is in short what is in this release. Remember, also maybe a last thing, or to do another things, is that we also included last year this cash flow worksheet that helps you to complete your understand how the cash flow statement is completed. That we also updated for that change in the mapping range, and then and that is the thing that we have done. Another new development that we have done, and this is where what Michael is showing, is that we have included a new, we have started to develop the GRAP disclosure checklist from the CIPC, from the National Treasury, in the product. So this is going to be a new document on your document manager. The idea of this checklist is, and this is not yet released, and we will only be releasing it in October. However, we felt it prudent to give you a sneak preview of what Caseware is working on. And we know a lot of the entity, or all entities, are required to complete this checklist. It is a massive, I think there's over 300 questions in this checklist that needs to be completed. So it's a massive document, it's a massive exercise. And what we are doing, first of all, give you this option to complete this checklist in Caseware. However, as Caseware, we always try to see how can we automate it, and that's why we're still developing it, because what we are doing is that as you are completing a section within the financial statements, I'm just going to switch off this iXBRL requirement. As you are completing information, for example, in inventories, and you have not typed in the relevant information, for example, that you need to show the carrying value of the inventories, then that will also be highlighted in the checklist that's covering that specific area. So whatever you do in the financial statements, we are developing in a way that it will auto then complete the requirement on the checklist as well. And then at the end of the day, you can just do a review back and forth between the two documents, the financial statements and the checklist, and you can also then see that you have covered the requirements effectively, or you have not covered the requirements effectively as it listed in the checklist. So it's very easy just to add the checklist with the content. However, we really want to add automation on the checklist as well, linking it to the way that you do your financial statements, and that it does take development time. Okay. With that, we have I've gone through all the content. I want to check in if there is any questions from our audience on this new requirement or this release.
If there are any questions, please do type them in the chat and we will respond. Thank you.